He'll just chuck it ahead, and it's caught. McKinnon has that next gear. Touchdown on a full sprint to the end zone.
Live from Super Bowl 57 Radio Row in Phoenix, this is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com.
Good protection for Jalen Hurts, who takes a shot, and he's got A.J. Brown inside the 10, inside the 5.
365 Sports coverage of Super Bowl 57 is brought to you by U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, IdealMRI.com, TFNB, your bank for life, Southwest Sports Medicine, Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, Cam Heathcott, and Chuck Verno, Marco's Pizza, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, Waco Custom Marketplace, Three Nations Brewery, The Nitchie Group, and Petty Clinic Low T. Now here's David Smoak and Paul Catalina.
Welcome to 365 Sports. Paul Catalina, Garrett Ross, Jacob Wilson here today. Smokey had to go back early for a, had to get his hip looked at today. He had a prior engagement. So we're sans Smokey, at least here. He will be with us in a moment here on 365 Sports. But the big news right off the bat, even live here from Radio Row in Phoenix, is Texas and Oklahoma, they're out. After this season, they're moving on. The exit agreement was made early, $100 million, $20 million of that goes to Fox. Fox also gets a Texas versus Michigan matchup in Ann Arbor. I believe that's in 2024, and then another one, I think the return trip is in 2027 in Austin. So Texas and Michigan are going to play, which comes out of that. So a lot of huge news coming in that, and Mack Rhoades will also join us coming right up here on 365 Sports to talk about the Big 12's end of that and how everybody feels coming out of the deal. But there are things that now kind of open up. The TV deal is done. The OU Texas exit is done. The Pac-12 right now is trying to get their TV deal done, and they're trying to look at expansion. SMU and San Diego State said to be the hottest candidates for that, with George Kliavkoff being at petition. Big 12 and Pac-12 might get into the SEC and the Big 10. You maybe have to have the same amount of members of them. So be curious to see what happens. I don't, as they transition into the next phase of what they're doing. We are joined now by Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades. Mack.
Remaining, 8, and then the TV part. And so I think the conversations were, amicable. I think about the word fair, and just given all of the pressing issues, that underlie, a deal like this. I think it's fair for all parties involved, and it allows UT and Oklahoma to move on, and I think more importantly and selfishly, it allows us, the Big 12, the 8 plus the 4 incoming members here on July 1, 2023, to really galvanize and think about the future. And we now have some clarity in terms of timing, and we can move on with a lot of our plans. And so I think it's a win for everybody. And personally, I'm glad that it's happened. I'm glad that we were able to find a pathway for them to leave a year early, and we can move on.
Mack, with this now being done, the date that Texas and Oklahoma are leaving. If expansion was on the table, you would have had to clear out so you didn't have, a 16-game.
Not even being within our negotiating window, and being able to move up in the cycle and strike what I think is a very good deal with, the two most prominent TV partners, in collegiate sports, and we'll be the only Power 5 that are going to be, partners with both ESPN and Fox. And then, number two, strategically was, UT in Oklahoma, and what happens. And, is there an opportunity for an early exit that's fair to everyone involved? And, we've now been able to accomplish that. And then the third piece is, hey, what does the future of our league look like in terms of, membership? And is there opportunity to grow? Commissioner Yormark talked about looking out west. I don't know that he's retracted that statement, but that's next on our mind if it makes sense, and we'll continue to explore.
And finally, Mac, last question for you. Does this ease any of the tension that started 2 years ago?
I did not say that. No, I think it does. There's awkwardness, and we've talked about that a little bit. So I just think now, some of the tension probably, is resolved and diminishes a little bit. And look, we're all professionals, and I think that I guess 14 of us will find a healthy way to exist as 14 members this upcoming academic year, and then we'll look forward to moving on with 12, and we'll see what else happens in terms of conference membership.
Thank you, Mac. That's Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, here with us a short time just to start off the show. But
President's Day sales event is happening now at Allen Samuels in Waco. Shop the great selection of new cars, trucks, and SUVs and get amazing deals on new Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Chrysler sedans, and minivans, or a sporty Dodge. Get more for less, guaranteed. More value, more selection, more service, and more trade-in allowance. And of course, if we don't have exactly what you want in stock, we can help you build the custom car, truck, SUV, or van of your dreams and order it today. It's the President's Day sales event happening right now at Allen Samuels in Waco.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs, and veggie burgers too. Nachos and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Chuck Verno, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Chuck Verno, 720 North 64th Street in Waco, 254-732-1161. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
This is 365 Sports.
Waco, but last night, maybe outcast on it because things had kind of gotten to from you, yeah.
I mean, there's nothing from me.
I mean,
I'm in my car.
I mean, we got like a little reverb from you or something. Let me.
All right, let me just go. Let me just go with no Bluetooth. I'll just take off the Bluetooth.
Okay.
No, it's all the noise in the background from you though. That's weird.
Huh.
Oh, hold on.
Is there like a mic fired up?
Let me.
And how do you feel about the way it went down 10 minutes after we got off the air yesterday?
Yeah, the timing was. I think I had just cut our promos for Sports Tonight on the CW, but I'm glad it's over. Some people will probably say this: did the Big 12 win? Did Fox win? Did ESPN and the SEC and Texas and Oklahoma win? I don't care. It was something that there needed to be a cutoff date, and it's
for another year after they had, there was a pathway out for them, and I just think it's going to be better all the way around because, can you imagine if they did have to stay another year, how sour that would be?
Yeah, well, it's really, even though it seemed like everything settled down once games started to be played, some fan bases were probably more harsh than others, and there was obviously, the teams that were like so-called left behind probably had a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, but they always would have had one against Texas and Oklahoma because of who they are. And, I think so. It was kind of I don't know. Maybe when Texas and OU didn't publicize the schedule other than just retweeting it, that was just maybe they knew. Maybe they realized this was going to be the last year. That's why they didn't put a lot of fanfare into it. They will when the schedule comes out for 2024 in football. So, let them go. Let them go. Everybody needs to just, move on. It's kind of like if you're going to have a breakup, it doesn't need to last too long. And sometimes it lasts so long that it gets worse and worse and worse if you don't come to some sort of an agreement. Texas and OU, they've thrown out some snipes. More, I think really more from the fan bases than anybody else. There were a few things said early back from Kevin L-Type and those a part of Texas and the quote about, well, what about all the others? And, well, we really don't care about them. Some of that was probably just natural breakup, instinctive comments, whatever. But there's an end date. Again, I keep going to that. There is an end date, and I can't wait for it. I'm sure everybody else involved can't wait for it either.
Yeah, Smokey, while we've been talking, something happened that and it threw me for a loop. There is an Andy Reid lookalike here on Radio Row right now. And when I tell you lookalike, I looked over there, and he was only about 20 feet away, and I thought, what is he doing here? He's got a game to coach, but he was, this dude is dead. Is a dead ringer.
Does he have a Sharpie pen and drawing mustaches on people like he does in the commercials? That would be the giveaway.
Yeah, well, he was talking to former Rams quarterback Jim Everett, and so that's why I thought, Jim just walked over and said hello. They must know each other. And then, the Andy Reid lookalike took a selfie with Jim Everett, and that's kind of maybe the giveaway that it's not. There's a great many things I know about Andy Reid, and I think one of them would be that he is probably not posting selfies on Twitter, but I don't know.
And I'll tell you another thing about Andy Reid. He's kind of like just the normal guy. He could walk into a bar, if he's sitting there drinking a beer, having nachos, wings, whatever. I think you could probably see a lot of people that, Andy Reid just looks like kind of the normal guy. And some coaches, look like CEOs, and he looks like the guy you might see out around the tailgate area.
That's right. So all this realignment and all that. One of the more interesting things from Mack was he did kind of confirm that that tweet from Ross Dellinger that we saw that, didn't kind of confirm. He confirmed that step one is the TV deal. Step two is Texas and OU moving out a year early because now they don't have any. They know exactly what they're going to be in a year, and they can start being aggressive if they need to be with expansion. And he said, Commissioner Yormark's never taken back anything about moving west, and expansion's been on the mind. He's like, Mack was careful to say, look, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but it is definitely something that we can now explore as the Big 12 moving forward.
Yeah, and I think they should absolutely explore it. They should at least check all the boxes and find out what's real and what's not. And don't add just to add, but if you can acquire real estate, time zone, whatever you want, inventory, content, which is really you and I, and Claire, we've been saying that from back in the day when people were looking at logos and all that, and why the Big 12 still ended up with a really nice contract extension. I wouldn't be against that. I don't think you just do it to do it. There's got to be a plan behind it, and I think that Yormark he probably already has the plan. Now, it's also interesting to me that this story came down yesterday evening, right about the time you had at least what looked like something going on with the Pac-12, SMU, San Diego State, and here's the Big 12 all of a sudden. It's the story last night in college football. It's the story today. And then there's by the way, the Pac-12 is still looking at possibly adding a couple of other programs. And now, if you're George Kliavkoff, you still have to convince your conference partners to add them. And then all of a sudden, wait a minute, now there might be more room in the Big 12 now that they know about Texas and OU's exit date. And that, to me, is kind of almost a one-upsmanship, so to speak, from the Big 12 and Yormark today.
Well, yeah, look,
last night.
They could make it really difficult even if and I would think there'd be overlap in interest in schools, right? I mean, it's not like they're going to be like, oh, we didn't really care about SMU and San Diego State anyway. If there's overlap in any interest, I mean, Boise State kind of fits in that category very well as well. So Gonzaga, adding them, has been talked about by the Big 12, and it's been talked about by the Pac-12. So we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of interesting things that could happen, and I don't know what I would do if I was a San Diego State and I had the Pac-12 and the Big 12 both, coming to me and,
Yeah, I think, there's obviously you have to at least do some reconnaissance on, okay, who really now is still interested, if anybody, in the Pac-12. You also had that radar that at least was interested in what was going on at Boise State. You can always throw in the name, and I know that somebody will about, okay, is Memphis back in the game? And I don't think they are, but, at least who knows? But I doubt it because that's not the right time zone, and so that time might have already flown by for them. I'm just using – I think you look at everybody. I think the four original teams that are coming in, every single one of them made sense. From Cincinnati to Houston to UCF and Brigham Young made sense in many ways. I think you don't have to expand, but I do think if you do, I think if you're going to talk about the fourth time zone, then that's where you're focused. Boise State, obviously, mountain time zone, as close as you can be to that. But I do think you should go and try to, okay. And by the way, and I'm not saying San Diego State and SMU should be off the table. Maybe they all of a sudden look at what's available to them, and they're like, wait a minute. Do you think we can get our foot back at least in the door in talking to Yormark in the Big 12? Why not?
Absolutely. All right, Smokey, we will see you on Monday. Great week out here. Had a blast Super Bowl week. This was, I think we did really well. This is maybe our most relaxed one we've ever done. Yeah,
there were some gremlins. But I felt like, yesterday to me there's always the one day when you walk away, you're happy because of where you are. You never take that for granted. But having a chance to sit down with Earl Campbell and Tony Dorsett was awesome. And all the others we had as well. But I thought it went well. I just wish my back would feel better. And hopefully that's going to be the case here in the next 4 to 5 hours.
Well, we've been thinking about you all morning. And Coachy was over here very concerned about you, because he's much older than you. So.
Yeah, he is a couple of years older than me, which means he's a lot older than me. At our age, a year means 5.
Yeah.
It's like cat lives. 1 cat life is 9 years. So, yeah. Well, tell him I said hi. You guys have a great finish to it, and obviously will be a lot to discuss, and even more so after the weekend clears the game, and then, of course, more and more on what the Big 12 does going forward.
All right, Smokey, that's David Smoak here with us on 365 Sports. We'll take a break right here. More of our coverage from Super Bowl Radio Row coming up right after this. We've got a ton of stuff. Joe Kelly, LeGarrette Blount, Jeff Smulyan, Andrew Sendejo, all coming up today here on 365 Sports.
In our logo and advertising, we say we are people that you can count on. What does that mean? It starts with providing a quality vehicle and quality service at a fair price. But it also means we do what we say we will do, and we treat people fairly with respect. It starts by hiring great people, good local folks who work hard with a caring attitude. Our employees are the real reason we are people that you can count on. Put us to the test and see for yourself that at Richard Carr Motors, we are people you can count on.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street, right behind the bank, is a hidden gem in Waco. If you're a fan of bourbon, especially local Texas bourbons, that's where you gotta go. Balcones, TX, Devil's River, whatever it is, they've got it. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, plus the best selection of craft beers in Waco, seasonally churned out throughout the year, whether it's spring, summer, fall, or winter. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, best selection of craft beers, a speedy drive-through window, and excellent customer service. Find out more on Instagram or just go by and see them. Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street behind the bank.
Waco Custom Marketplace is your hometown grocery store with a full-service butcher shop and bakery. Hi, this is David Smoak. The butcher shop can take your customized orders for seafood, pork, and poultry and custom cut your favorite steaks from bacon-wrapped fillets to T-bone to bone-in ribeyes, cut specifically the way you want. They have Norwegian salmon fillets, catfish fillets, sliced ham or turkey and lunch meat, variety of cheese available, and several options of sausage links, fresh chicken breast or whole chickens, sliced bacon, pork chops, ground beef, marinated beef, and chicken fajitas, and always large briskets available, plus fresh vegetables. So the great product, customer service, and family tradition of the Bauer family continues at Waco Custom Marketplace, open Monday through Saturday. A full-service butcher shop and bakery available. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
This is 365 Sports. Text us at 254-339-1122. The text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Here's a young man. We've had him before. LeGarrette Blount joins us. on 365 Sports. We've had you a couple of different times.
Yes, sir.
Super Bowl week, what does it mean to you?
Oh, man, as a player, it meant, obviously it meant a lot. As a spectator, that is watching a team that he played against go to another Super Bowl after winning the first one there, that's a different animal. I can't express how much I support them, how strongly I feel about this game, how strongly I feel about how they're going to perform. I am excited to watch it. It is going to be their best game all season, hopefully.
This is a good team, the Eagles. They're really, really good. And you were there. There's not – and even that was not that long ago, LeGarrette. No. And the team's a lot different now, but you still have guys like Jason Kelce's still there.
Right.
I feel like every time they say he's going to retire, like no, he can't retire. He's got to stay forever. But
he got to mold somebody.
Yeah, that's right. So what is it like watching? After like you said, you've done it once with them be back here after so much up and down and turnover they had, but to be back here and do what they're doing.
Man, these guys, they have done really Howie. Kudos to him. He's done extremely well as far as bringing the right pieces, right? He believed in Jalen. He believed in Miles. He traded for AJ. He believed in Devontae. These guys are going to be the pillars of the team for a long time coming. You got them all cheap right now. You won't have to come out of the pocket at all right now, but you're definitely, making the money from these guys. So whenever it comes a time that you got to open up them pockets, I hope they do so to keep this squad together, because this is a really, really well designed plan that unfolded. As far as the players and as far as the kind of team that Howie put together. So kudos to him.
To do it and then tear it down and do it again, that's the part, right? That's the hard thing, and they've done it.
Yeah, and that's what makes you. That's what separates you as a general manager, right? For instance, for example, the Cardinals, they were really good for a couple years. 12-4, I want to say the year before, or 12-5, or 13-5, or whatever it is. The year before, only to turn around and crap the bed this year.
Yeah.
The Eagles got better, 7-9, I think 9-7, and then 16-3. So, and that's since we left. So they went through their little down phase, which really wasn't a down phase, and then they slowly built back up. And now they have another great team. Like I said, man, kudos to Howie, and he gets so much respect from the players, and he gets so much respect from the community and what he does. And he is a very humble guy, and he loves the guys, and he loves the players. And that's what makes those guys different. That's what differentiates a lot of things, because your general manager usually can care less about what happens on the field and what with the team. You know what I'm saying? Besides signing the contract and doing what general managers do, Howie is extremely involved in that, and that's why I say, man, it's easy for him to go find these guys and draft these guys or trade for these guys when they fit the mold that he wants.
You are connected to a lot of the news here in the last couple of weeks. You're Eagles, obviously, and then of course Tom Brady retired. You played with Tom, and what does it mean to like all the guys who played with him when you finally see like, it's it. He's hanging it up. This is the real one now. It's kind of surreal to me to think that we're going to start next football season and Tom Brady's not going to be playing.
Yeah, it is. It is. And that's crazy, right? Because guys retire all the time. Guys play 10 years or 15 years and retire. But it's just something that's different about this guy, right? He brings a different element to not just the game, but to the NFL as an organization. Right, you're losing probably one of the biggest pillars of this game that this game has ever seen. One of the biggest marketing tools, one of the the biggest influencers, one of the biggest players. Like, you're losing someone that is extremely important and vital to the success of the league in general. It doesn't. It goes to say. It speaks volumes and numbers of his personality, of his character, and him being a very likable person. I have yet to find anyone or run into anyone that has not loved Tom Brady after they met him.
Do you have a story about when you first played with him where you realized how committed, how focused, laser sharp he is? maybe not a specific, but was that just who he is?
That's just who he's been since I've known him. One thing that happened that I remember that he, that kind of woke me up and made me notice how serious and how locked in he is about it is one time I went into the we was at practice or OTAs or off-season workouts, whatever. But we were running plays, and we changed something in the meeting that morning, and I did it right, and I'm pretty sure Josh forgot that he changed it or whatever, and he thought I did it wrong. And me and him kind of got in a shouting match, and 12 told me, hey man, hey, just shut up and do it. Just shut up and just do it, bro. We're out here for the team. We're trying to get better. Just shut up and do it. If we're wrong, that's their fault. They take the blame. Just shut up and do it. And at that time I was younger. It's obviously as a grown man, you don't listen. You don't take heed to another grown man telling you to shut up. So we didn't have a falling out, but it was just like, bro, come on, bro, I'm grown, bro. Don't tell me to shut up, bro. Don't talk to me like that. You know what I'm saying? And then we had me, him, and Josh had our little minor exchange in words, and I ended up going in the locker room and heading out, I didn't leave. I went in the locker room and kind of just hung out or whatever, and he came in there and was like, LG, bro, I love you. We're good. We're solid. I just want to make sure we got everything right. I want you to be right. I want you to be the best version of yourself. We just want to make sure that this is ran efficiently and that you doing the right thing, man. That's all. We sometimes the words get in the way of what we're actually trying to do. So we're good. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh yeah, we solid, bro. We good, bro. I love you to death. You my guy. You know what I'm saying? But obviously at the hit of the moment, and you're a man telling another grown man to shut up. That that don't usually fly.
Yeah. LeGarrette Blount with us, 365 Sports, 3-time Super Bowl champion. So CBD products. I remember when that was just verboten. It was like, you can't talk about it. Yes. I have a commercial that I do, an endorsement for a cigar place. It's got cigars and all that, but they have CBD, Vita Dreams, that is a product that I promote as well. And that is something that you have gotten into quite a bit. And are you surprised how soon and how quickly it's become a part of the landscape and that you can talk about it?
Man, it is like night and day. It happened fast. All the way to the point to where the NFL now is not as strict when it comes to THC. They're not as strict. I guess they have some sense of leniency at this point now. So you can see and you can tell they are slowly starting to transition because understand this, whenever they were being extremely strict, you were losing superstars. You were losing guys, right? Guys that make this league run and watchable. You're losing, 5-game suspension, 4-game suspension, 2-game suspension. I say this. Weed or what cannabis, whatever you want to call it, politically correct, is frowned upon in the league, right? Mm-hmm. Why is it not frowned? Why is the drugs that cause liver and kidney damage, why is that not frowned upon? 10 years from now, these guys that are taking these pills, that's been taking these pills for 10, 12, whatever years, they get addicted and they take them for another 10 years. They die of liver problems. They die of kidney failure. These healthy men that don't drink no alcohol, that should not have no kidney or liver problems, are dying because of this. And the league is never going to be like, hey, man, this guy died of a kidney failure because we gave him these opioid pills and we've been giving them to him for the last 10 years. That's not going to ever come out, right? But what will come out is breaking news. This guy that just, got found with a half a blunt in his car is now getting suspended for 4 weeks because of league substance abuse, It ain't substance abuse when you're abusing pills.
Has the league talked to you
They're
about
giving you these pills.
Yeah.
These doctors are giving you these pills. The league is giving you these pills, right? Why is there not a problem with that? But you see all these commercials, you see all these signs. Hey, make sure don't get addicted to pills. Don't get addicted to this. Don't overdose on this. People are committing suicide because they're overdosing on opioids and this stuff like that. Why are they not frowning upon that stuff? You know what I'm saying? So that's the reasoning behind why I created what I created, because people deserve to know. People deserve to be able to treat themselves a different way than having to take pills all the time. There's different ways to be treated for discomfort. There's different ways to be treated to be able to sleep. There's different ways to be treated for anxiety. There's different ways for all of that stuff. Those are my products.
Yeah.
LG's Feel Good, by the way. LeGarrette Blount with us on 365 Sports.
Yeah. The example I can think of is Percy Harvin. Look, you could tell me that dude was recreationally smoking weed all day long, you know, like he was in the van with Tommy and Cheech.
Right.
But I can tell you that on Sundays, sure as heck didn't look like it. So and then he would tell you, look, I've got migraines. I can either do this with like drugs that don't work, or I can do CBD and marijuana, and I feel better and I play better.
Right.
And somehow the league wasn't like, oh, well, this is the most exciting player in the league right now. Maybe we should look at that and say, like, oh, this makes more sense.
It's frowned upon because, I mean, you got to look at who's the league owned by. You know, there's a bunch of billionaires. They're stuck in their ways. They're all 70 or 80 years old. So when they grew up, it was frowned upon, right? Not to say that none of them did it when they were growing up. Nobody's going to admit that.
Grew up in the 60s, man.
None of these guys are going to admit that, but they grew up when it was popular. It was more popular back then than it is right now, than it's ever been. So
because it was new.
Yeah. They're not going to, any of these owners, you think any of these owners are going to go out there and be like, man, you know, well, I did try smoking once. Nah. They're going to be like, nah, we don't do that shit. Smoking is frowned upon. Why would we want our employees to smoke?
So, and I know you got to go, but it's changing though. Like you said, slowly but surely, the rules, the policies are becoming, as you said, more lenient.
Yeah, it's getting forced because now you got. I'm not saying that I'm not putting any coach in the hot spot, but now you got coaches that are 36, 37, 40. Who I'm 100% guaranteeing has tested the cannabis space. I mean, I love Sirianni. That's my guy. There's a video of you hitting a vape pen on the sideline. What are you going to say? Oh, that was nicotine? Okay, well, you smoke cigs now?
Yeah.
Or are you going to say, oh, nah, you know, it was cold out there, so I was just trying to warm my hands up.
He was warming something up.
What are you going to say, right? That is evidence that it is in the league, and it has fully infiltrated the league. So take the next step. Get the stuff that is good for these players, that is healthy for these players, that is going to help your employees live a long time and play even longer. Take the next steps.
Again, you can go to Facebook, LG's Feel Good. LeGarrette Blount, 3-time Super Bowl champion with us on 365 Sports.
I just say this again. LeGarrette Blount's from Perry, Florida. It's a very small town in Florida.
Yes.
Look, you are from Perry. You're a 3-time Super Bowl champion.
Yes.
From Quincy, not very far away, also really small, is George Clinton from P-Funk.
Yeah.
He's from there.
This rapper, colorful hair.
Yeah, he's from Quincy.
He lives there?
Yeah, when I was in college, I don't know like how old George Clinton is now, but
he got to be. George Clinton got to be in his 90s. So he's old as hell.
Well, yeah, when I was in college, anytime that George Clinton would go out on a tour, his first stop, he would play at the Moon in Tallahassee.
What?
And so I saw P-Funk at the Moon in Tallahassee 3 times, and after the 3rd time, I finally said, why is he always here? And then one person goes, he lives in Quincy. And I was like, you got to be kidding me.
That is crazy. That is a story that I've actually never heard, bro. And we played Quincy every year in football. That's a rivalry game for us. And I don't know why would you not come to the game and be like, bro, George Clinton was like, I know that's going to be my claim to fame. Like,
there you go.
When the kids come play football, they'll be like, oh, yeah, you know, LeGarrette is from here. Did you see the signs coming in?
Yeah.
Like, they pride themselves on that. You know what I'm saying? So, man, oh, yeah, and by the way, lgsfeelgood.com is the website.
LeGarrette Blount, thanks for your time, my man. Appreciate it.
You guys,
this
man.
Is 365.
Good protection for Jalen Hurts, who takes a shot, and he's got A.J. Brown inside the 10, inside the 5.
Super Bowl 57 is headed to Arizona, and so are the Chiefs and Eagles. 365 Sports will broadcast live starting on Tuesday, February 7th from NFL Media Headquarters in downtown Phoenix. Join 365 Sports throughout the week for daily news and notes on the big game, interviews with players, personalities, and more at Radio Row inside the Phoenix Convention Center.
Mahomes, he'll just chuck it ahead, and it's caught. McKinnon has that next gear. Touchdown on a full sprint to the end zone.
365 Sports live from Super Bowl 57 is brought to you by
U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, IdealMRI.com, TFNB, your bank for life, Southwest Sports Medicine, Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, Cam Heathcott, and Chuck Verno, Marco's Pizza, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, Waco Custom Marketplace, Three Nations Brewery, The Nitchie Group, and Petty Clinic Low T.
the Chiefs versus the Eagles from Super Bowl 57.
Second and goal. He lofts it to the end zone, and it is caught by Kelsey for the touchdown.
365 Sports will be there live starting on Tuesday, February 7th.
The future's bright, the time is now.
College is what you make it. It's a late night pizza run, and all-nighters coding a new project. It's having big dreams and making them a reality. It's a professor who knows your name and your story. It's preparation for your future, your calling, your life. And at Baylor, it's even more. Baylor, where lights shine bright.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses. When it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why we take the time to understand your needs. Knowing you, that's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott in Conroe at 936-756-7717. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak and Paul Catalina.
Jeff Smulyan with us here on 365 Sports. Jeff, I've been looking forward to this interview specifically more than a lot of the ones.
Wonderful.
Because you are a pioneer in this business in,
Right.
in sports radio with WFAN and the things that you've done, MS and all that. I am very curious, and you've got a book out that we're here to talk about.
Right.
I'm very curious on your thoughts on where this industry is going and where it's headed down the line, because of there are so many changes. You know, right now we're doing this. I was in terrestrial radio for almost 20 years. Now we're here doing it YouTube, and everything's changing.
Right.
How do you think the business moves forward successfully?
Well, I think it does. And I, by the way, this is my first visit to Radio Row.
Seriously?
Seriously, first visit.
Yeah.
You know, we started this format in 1987. I marvel at how big it's gotten. I think listen, there are a lot of challenges in the radio business. If you read the book, you'll find out a lot of them. But as long as you matter to audiences, as long as you connect with people, there'll always be a place for it.
So the things I think are kind of interesting is that most of the people in management came up from music, right?
Right.
And sports now is probably maybe talk and sports are a little bit more valuable than a lot of people realize, right?
Yeah.
Because you'll listen through commercials, and music has, like, music radio, especially terrestrially, is
struggling.
I mean, because you've got Spotify and Apple Music and all these people.
That's right.
So do you think that you see a sea change in the way that maybe leadership is more talk people in charge instead of...
Yeah, I think people realize that, again, as your point, if you can substitute music and not have to listen to 14 commercials an hour, that's been a big problem for the industry. There's no doubt about that. That's led to a lot of the decline of the industry. But with sports and with talk, you have generally local content that matters to people. And it does have much more of an impact, no question.
How do you feel about the media deals that are being made? We talk a lot about college football and college sports on our channel. The media deals that are being made with the Big Ten television and the Big 12 and the Pac-12 struggling right now to get their deal done because there's a lot of things, and you're on the West Coast, you know how it is. It's what do you think about that and the changing landscape of college sports in the media?
Well, it's funny. One of the things that I do, I've been on the board of trustees at USC for a long time. And I happen to be involved in all the analysis of the Pac-12. The problem was, from a USC standpoint, there are so many millions of more dollars available to a brand like USC to go into the Big Ten. I think the problem is, and whether it's good or bad, it's the way of the world. If you look at the NFL that gets $15 billion a year for television, and college football was getting about $3 billion, and yet college football is the second most important sport to the public. College football probably on an economic basis should have gotten 8 or 9 or 10 billion. I think what's happening is you're coalescing around two big conferences, the Big Ten and the SEC. They'll be able to capture more of those dollars because they'll have so much more clout.
So we talk about realignment a lot. It's another reason I was excited to talk to you because the viewers of our channel voraciously eat it up.
Yeah.
The USC and UCLA decision came right out of the blue.
Right.
But obviously that something had to be in the works for. It wasn't like you call on Monday and then you're like, oh, sure, why not?
It happened faster than you might think.
Yeah. Okay.
When I got involved in it, I kidded and said we have three choices. We can try to fix the Pac-12, we can make our own separate TV deal, or we can go to another conference. And I think we worked for a long time to try to fix the Pac-12, but it was so far behind. I think from an economic standpoint, it was hard for the university not to move on.
Well, and you're a university at USC that's kind of reclaiming your brand right now with Lincoln Riley and everything that's going on.
Absolutely right.
So you kind of have to, make those decisions, get busy listening, get busy dying, right?
Yeah.
Is that how it is?
That's exactly
I know
right.
It's probably hard.
It is hard. And you look at it and you say, what's wrong with this picture? With NIL money and realignment and Texas and Oklahoma going one way, USC and UCLA. But this is sort of the economics of the world, and that's the world we live in.
Now, how excited are you, like now that the nitty-gritty is kind of done and it's down to the last year, how excited are you to see those matchups and for USC in the Big Ten?
Well, of course, I laugh because I live in Indianapolis.
Okay.
So my friends are saying, you just got involved in it because you want SC to come to Bloomington and West Lafayette. but I think it'll be good for the university. There are some complications, but it will give the university the resources and the ability to be seen. The problem with the Pac-12 network is it was in like 12 or 13 million homes. The Big Ten network's in 65 million homes. So just the national visibility makes a big difference for a university.
What do you think about the viability of the remaining members of the Pac-12 conference?
I think they'll be viable. I think you're going to see with the ACC and the Big 12 and the Pac-12, they'll be viable. It's going to be a second tier of economics, no doubt about that. But I think with the expanded playoffs, you'll have a chance to get in the playoffs. And I think the problem is it's kind of unfair that you have two tiers at the top, but that's sort of the way the world is.
Do you think, I mentioned this on the show yesterday, George Kliavkoff going to SMU, right down there, we're in Waco, they're in Dallas, kind of expanding that way out. Do you think that maybe the Pac-12 is in a unique situation compared to the other Power 5 conferences now that the SEC knows who they are, the Big 10 knows who they are, USC and UCLA are part of that, the new Big 12 knows who they are, and the Pac-12 has 10 schools, 4 of which are similar, 2 of which are similar, 2 of which are Oregon State and Washington State are kind of in the same boat. Oregon and Washington, same boat. Cal, Stanford, different boat. And then the 4 corner schools, different boat. So they got to figure out who they are individually and then who they can be together.
And I think there's probably other shoes to drop. If I had to bet, I'd bet the SEC ends up with 20 schools and the Big 10 ends up with 20 schools. And I think if I had to bet, I would say you may see Oregon and Washington and Stanford and Cal move to the Big 10. And you may see Florida State and Miami and Clemson and North Carolina maybe in the SEC. I have no idea if that's right or not. If I had to guess, they'll go to 20. That'd be my guess.
Yeah, and it just seems to be that way. So let's talk about the book.
Okay.
You have had. I mean, we've talked about media and all that, but you've been an owner of the in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
You have invested in many different things over your life. Which makes for a good book. It makes for a good thing. So let's talk about the book.
The book has been more fun than anything I've ever done. I did it at the behest of my 18-year-old daughter. I would drive her to school every day, and we just talk about life. And she said, "Dad, some you got to write it down. You got to write a book. Nobody would ever believe these stories. They're funny and they're interesting." And so I just did it, and I sent it to a few friends, and they said, "This is a really fun book." And so then the next thing I knew, I had an agent and a publisher. My agent the other day said, "What do you want to do for your next book?" I said, "I'm not doing any more books. This is one." But it's been, I think it just came out, but the response of people who've read it been incredibly gratifying.
What's just a little appetizer from the book you can give us, a good story?
People seem to want to know the David Letterman stories.
Okay.
David worked for us in the very beginning, first radio station I ever ran.
He's one of my personal heroes, as a matter of fact,
And so somebody said, "What was it like?" And I said, "Well, I'll tell you a quick story." One day I came back from lunch, and David took the job, and he said, "I'm going to go to Hollywood in 1 year. I'm going to do this for a year." And it was incredible because it was a talk station with a lot of older listeners. And you had a bunch of young people like us. Dave and I are the same age. In those days, we were very young, 45 years ago. And I came back from lunch one day, and a guy said, "Letterman's a communist." Listener. And I said, "Well, why is he a communist?" He said, "Well, I called in his show, and I said, there are communists in Carmel, Indiana." And do you know what he said? I said, "I don't know what he said." He said, "Well, you got to give them Carmel because the football team's lousy and the traffic is bad, and you can never find a parking space. So let's give the communists Carmel and hold the line at the next suburb." And that was Dave. I mean, and you dealt with, so you had a 25-year-old guy talking to basically 65-year-old people. One day he said, "Indianapolis has sold the monument in the middle of town to Guam, and in exchange we're getting a 300-foot stick of celery." And people called and said, "You can't sell our monument, you can't do that." And he said, "Yeah, it'll make downtown a lot greener." So yeah, every day was something like that.
The beauty in Letterman was that he saw the most absurd, random, I was telling somebody, one of our young interns, about him. I said, "You need to go back and watch this guy and how he did a talk show, and the way he entertained people, because if you have to do 300 shows a year like he's doing, there's not all going to be green." So he would do stuff like walk out of the studio and ask people if he can taste their dinner.
I mean, it just, and I'll never forget when he went to California, we sort of subsidized him and paid him, and I'll never forget he went to do the Rose Parade, and he sent back a report, and he said, "Look, they had a budget problem. They couldn't afford roses, so they just did pork rinds. And he said, so all the floats were in pork rinds, but they didn't save any money because the stench of the rotting pork made so many people ill. So on the other hand, the all-pork Minnie Mouse was lovely. So, but that was Dave. And I think, just crazy stuff like that. I mean, the start of sports radio. I have a favorite saying, the line between being a genius and an idiot is very fine. And I'm on both sides. So the start of sports radio was, one of the chapters is Idiot to Genius. Started WFAN. It was a disaster. Then it turned around. And then the next chapter was Genius to Idiot, where I bought the Mariners. I was the boy wonder. And then that didn't work, and I went from genius to idiot. So that's life. And I think the book talks about all those.
That's really awesome. Never ride a roller coaster upside down. Look, Jeff, as a person who's done this for a living for years, just an honor to talk to you and someone who pioneered. I can't imagine myself doing anything else. When people ask me what else I would do, I don't know. And it's because of WFAN in New York or the Ticket in Dallas that this kind of grew out, and you were a pioneer in that when there was sports talk for 1 hour wedged in between things at different 10:30 p.m. I think about Frasier, that sitcom, and the sports talk show was between a gardening show and the psychological show. That's not how it is anymore, and that's because of people like you. So
and I'm proud of it.
We all here. We are truly grateful for people who saw it and saw the value. So please, and I can't wait to read the book.
I hope, and if people want it, it's on Amazon, wherever you buy books, Barnes and Noble, whatever. But I think the thing that's gratifying is people read it and they have fun.
Jeff Smulyan, right here. Look, sports radio, David Letterman. Look, if you're a Rangers fan and he wrecked the Mariners, so it's watching the show, you probably think he's great too. But
absolutely.
But love talking to you. This has been an honor. Thanks for coming on. This is 365 Sports.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
Baylor Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel & Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel & Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel & Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
What are you waiting for? Next year's New Year's resolution to lose weight, get fit, start working out? 3, 2, 1, go to Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. If you really want to get in shape, get rid of weight or inches, you have to make a commitment to work out. End the excuses of not enough time, you're too tired or too busy. There's a special place that will change your life at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco. And they have a commitment to you too. With personal trainers Christy London, Randall Corley, and Alex Bosch. State-of-the-art Cybex equipment, new weights and spin bikes, clean and spacious locker rooms, each with a whirlpool and sauna, and a staff that will know your name when you walk through the front door. Elite tennis facilities and a great tennis pro in Britt Coleman. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness is a place you can call home, a place you can work out on your own or with 40-plus group exercise classes. It's time for you to get in shape, lose inches, get fit at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Hi, this is Paul Catalina. I recently got engaged to the love of my life, but the most important thing that I had to do before I popped the question was get that perfect ring. And I know nothing about rings. So I went to the wedding ring store, Boozer's Jewelers on Valley Mills Drive. I knew I needed a custom design, and that's exactly what they do. 9 out of 10 of their engagement rings are designed in-house. The entire process took less than a month, and they were great every step of the way. Great options on financing, excellent selection, and talented designers. My fiance and I get nonstop compliments on the ring. I only deserve credit for doing the smartest thing I could, walking into Boozer's and letting them work their magic. Your one-of-a-kind fiance deserves a one-of-a-kind ring, and that's what you get at Boozer's. Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store on Valley Mills Drive.
This is 365 Sports. Are you a Sikkim 365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at Sikkim365.com.
He spent 12 years in the NFL, and part of that time with the Cowboys. Andrew Sendejo joins us on 365 Sports at the Super Bowl. 12 years in the NFL. Do you have any aches and pains from that time, even to this day?
Yes, absolutely.
Like just bumps, bruises, arthritis?
I had about 8 surgeries throughout my 12 years in the NFL. A couple of concussions, obviously. So there's definitely still some aches and pains. Takes a little bit longer to get going. I like to start my day with a nice just like hot bath or a hot shower just to warm up, just so I can get moving.
That's the way usually people end a day, with a nice bubble bath.
Sometimes I do that too. I do 2 days on the bath time. You know? That's why I'm going to need some of these candles.
Oh, you got them. Exactly. My buddy Eric Horton and Tyler Candle Company, one of our great sponsors. So, 12 years in the NFL, and what you have is Effect Braintree Nutrition. Let's discuss that. How did all this kind of come about?
Yeah, so me and 2 of my college teammates that went to Rice with me, one of them also played in the NFL. We just wanted to make a line of products to help preserve and enhance and protect the brain. And we wanted to make something that was safe and transparent so that we could take it while we were playing with, no banned substances, and also so our teammates could take it. Because right now there's not a ton of, well, when I played, I don't know now, but there wasn't a lot of good rehab protocols coming back from concussions or to help guys that had an ADD or an ADHD. And so our flagship product, it helps with memory, focus, and it has anti-inflammatory properties for the brain. And so all those things can help coming back from concussions. It can help guys like myself who I was diagnosed by one of the team doctors with a deficit disorder, and per the NFL rules, they're really strict on prescribing those types of medications, right? So I wanted to make something that had natural occurring ingredients that were clinically backed by studies. And we, in consultation with neurologists, we formulated this line of 4 products. We also have the probiotic. We have our stress and anxiety relief, which is awesome at the end of the day, with the candle, with the bath at the end of the day, and then our sleep aid, because sleep is the foundation of health and mental health and brain health.
There's no one, and Paul knows this, and I'm not joking, so Adderall would be one of those ADHD or whatever, and I'm a little bit hyper already, but is that something you couldn't take as an NFL player?
Right, because
I'm attention deficit 101.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I actually had 3 different doctors diagnose me with that, right? But then per the NFL, they said, well, you don't have a long enough history of it, so we can't just give it to you, because then we look bad like we're just handing out Adderall to players, and it shows up as a performance-enhancing drug, et cetera, et cetera. So I was like, all right, let's make something that can help with, focus and memory, because a lot of what we do is studying film, memorizing plays. You have to be able to have instant memory recall on the field, and so that's basically how it got formed.
So you have a history with Coach Gannon, the Eagles. You played with him for 4 years. You were with him.
Yep.
And that defense early in the year was their, if they had one, kind of their Achilles heel. Like they were giving up run. How did, even after adding some of the guys they added, they adjust and become this just fierce, like you do not want to drop back and pass on them, rushing 4?
Yeah, their pass rush is insane, and really every NFL game is one up front. You'll hear every head coach in the NFL say that all the time. We got to win up front. We got to win up front. And when you have a pass rush like that, a front seven like that, it just makes everything better, right? You can stop the run so it doesn't open up the pass. They want to drop back and pass. Now you're getting after the quarterback. Getting the quarterback off rhythm, off key, making bad throws, tips and overthrows, getting turnovers and takeaways. So I think that's been a big asset for them. It's just that front.
You played in the league 12 years after being undrafted. Being undrafted is one of the more, I would say, stressful things about trying to achieve your goal and do that. When did you ever stop feeling like you were the undrafted guy, like at a point in the league where you kind of felt confident, or were you always kind of had that chip on your shoulder and thought of things in that way?
Yeah, I think you're always kind of wired that way. Even as a starter in the league, this league is crazy. You see guys that get cut or traded or released all the time that is shocking news on ESPN, right? So never took it for granted, and just like you said, always kind of had a chip on your shoulder, always grinding, always fighting for a roster spot like you weren't guaranteed one even when you were the starter.
So when you see Brock Purdy, who's Mr. Irrelevant,
love it.
You got to love that story.
Love it.
Anyone should love that story unless he was beating your favorite team, but that's
right. Yeah, a guy like that you're obviously rooting for, and he was the third string quarterback, probably starting. He probably never even thought he would see the field this year, and then all of a sudden he's playing to have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. So it was good to see that. Obviously, always rooting for a guy like that, a young guy, to get out there and play well. Your
time with the Cowboys, and we've had earlier today Tony Casillas, who was a part of the first two Super Bowls under Jimmy. It's been 27 years for that franchise to be in a championship game, not a Super Bowl, but just be in that moment where they have a chance. What was missing when you were there?
My time there was brief. I got there in 2010. There was a transition with coaches, and then I made it through training camp. They tried to sign me to the practice squad after final cuts, and then I got claimed to the Jets.
Okay.
So I was there for a little under a year. So it's hard to say, but just keeping track. I kind of keep track via all my friends in Texas that are huge Cowboys fans. And they just always look very disappointed around this time of year. So,
well, look, part of the reason is they didn't keep Andrew long enough. And
I'm not gonna. I wasn't gonna say that.
Look,
it takes more than just one person.
I will say it, especially when their strategy at your position was guys who were lower drafted, undrafted, like the guys that like Donovan Wilson wasn't like he was a low draft pick now, and it's worked out for them. But when you left and worked out everywhere else it was going, like I remember playing against them when you were in Minnesota and going, could have
used to be there.
Could have been you guys,
that happens a lot around the league. There's guys that they get released or cut or whatever from their first team and they're young, and then they finally find a place that fits their scheme. The coaches like them, trust them, and they end up making a good career out of it. And that happens all the time. And so that's why you always love to see a guy do that, right? Like Jaron Kearse, he was my backup in Minnesota. That guy should have been on the field like way ahead of me, right? As far as athleticism, just size, speed. But just, he was young. I was already starting, and just the timing. And then he finally makes his way to Dallas, and now he's got himself a nice spot there.
Well, Rice University, obviously, back in the day, part of the Southwest Conference. That's forever ago. We know that. College football's changed, man. I mean, you have NIL, you have the transfer portal. It's just like a wide open, the wild, wild west in some ways.
I don't get it. I'll never get it. But it's basically just college free agency every year.
There you go.
There's no
every month almost.
Yeah, there's no commitment. I think it's funny how it also aligns with, I feel like, the way that the world is now. Just everyone's kind of soft, and they don't want to. It's like, oh, you don't like me? Okay, well, I'll just go somewhere else, instead of just like grinding it out and figuring it out and working your way into a starting spot. So I don't know.
I think that the younger generation thinks that when coaches are hard on them, it's because they don't like them. It's usually the opposite. It's usually they do like you.
They're
see
the potential.
They're trying to
If my coach stopped getting on me, that's when he told me I should worry.
Right.
That's when otherwise you're dead to him or not.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I said dead to him.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh.
Canceled.
Yeah. Oh
Canceled.
I'm done.
Just wrap it up. Wrap it up. Just wrap it up.
Yeah.
But it is like everyone's offended about everything, and I'm not going to get into all that, but. It is
I can if you want.
Well, go ahead.
I don't work here.
No, go. We've discussed it, believe me. But
look, we're losing our edge, man. We're losing our edge. It's getting softer around here. So, I don't like the way things are going. Just in general, I feel like everyone's sensitive, and it's yeah.
Well, I love this product, Braintree Nutrition.
Before we get to that again, we can't let him go without. He knows our buddy Taylor McHarg.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's y'all's friend.
Yeah, we have him on the show.
I wouldn't claim him as my friend.
He was a weekly guest segment. Yeah.
God, I bet y'all's ratings were just in the shitter at that
point. And you can say that on YouTube. We're great.
Yeah.
You're great. How do people find your product, man?
So you can go to BrainTreeNutrition.com. You can find us on any socials. Just search Braintree Nutrition. And then a lot of people will find us on Amazon. Same thing, just search Braintree Nutrition. We donate a portion of our proceeds back to Alzheimer's research. We're a Texas-based company, founded, operated right in Texas by all Texas boys. So, yeah, go check us out.
The highest-rated segment from anyone ever associated with Rice University.
Right here.
Right here.
Ever in the history.
Andrew, appreciate it, man.
Thanks, guys.
Good stuff.
Yep.
This is 365 Sports. We're live in Phoenix.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long business meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive, North 19th Street, right behind the bank, is a hidden gem in Waco. If you're a fan of bourbon, especially local Texas bourbons, that's where you gotta go. Balcones, TX, Devil's River, whatever it is, they've got it. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, plus the best selection of craft beers in Waco, seasonally churned out throughout the year, whether it's spring, summer, fall, or winter. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, best selection of craft beers, a speedy drive-through window, and excellent customer service. Find out more on Instagram or just go by and see them. Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street behind the bank.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit Marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Enjoying the show? Hit the like button and subscribe.
365 Sports here with one of my favorite Major League Baseball players, Joe Kelly, Chicago White Sox now, Dodgers, Red Sox. Look, and I told you this coming over here.
Oh, yeah.
I saw you guys in Fenway 3 times in 2018, but I also saw you 2 times in Yankee Stadium, and then every time you played in Arlington and Houston. Yeah. You took 3 out of 4 in Arlington. I said, all right, now I'm a believer. This team's pretty good. You know, I watched Mookie throw out 3 guys at third base over the weekend ridiculously. I said, no, there's something special about this team. So always been a huge fan of you, and also what you mean for baseball. Like, you standing up for the game and how awesome it is and how great it is. Your shirt, baseball isn't boring. Yep. So thanks for being here, Joe.
Thank you.
You're kind of famous for being an enforcer, but also you like to let loose. So you have this dichotomy about you, right? So where did that start?
From when I was 5, honestly.
Really?
It's one of those things that I believe that you could talk to any player any given day, correct? Mm-hmm. You could put him on the show, you could interview him, you could ask him questions. But when's the last time you felt like they were actually giving you a real answer? You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where if you took off the headphones and you hung out, you'd be like, man, this guy has a great personality.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's talking shit, he does all this, blah, blah, blah. But then when he, gets interviewed or puts a mic on, it's the vanilla answer you've been taught.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, so say I have a shoulder problem, right? You came out of the game, what'd you feel? I felt tightness, so just being precautionary. Meanwhile, I knew I blew out my shoulder, and I won't be back for 15 months. You know what I mean? But that answer's never given. And so, for me, I always hated that, and from when I came into the league as a rookie, with St. Louis, I've been that way my whole career, pranking Nelly, my rookie year, doing the national anthem standoff, when I'm 24 years old, second year in the league. And that's back in the day when veterans were hazing. We're not allowed to do it now, but that's back in the day when veterans were hazing. They put shit in your car, mess with you like that, you know what I mean? And so I've done it since the get-go, and earlier in my career, it was kind of frowned upon, and I'm not going to say it was the reason I got traded, you know what I mean? I think it was a fair trade for the Red Sox, Lackey for me, Alan Craig. But if I had to guess, everyone in the clubhouse, Mike Matheny tells me to this day, that's still the only time I've seen grown men cry without losing the World Series. You mean, it shook that clubhouse up in St. Louis. I was a big part of it. And so, like I said, if I knew the reason why I got traded, I think it's because I was too much of myself probably, and, the Bible Belt area couldn't really handle it. You know what I mean? But yeah, I just wanted to be genuine and whatever I say is how I feel. I'm a reactionary guy. I don't really process things, right away unless it's off field, But no, I just think that if more players are like this, you know what I mean? God, it'd grow the game of baseball big.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I think, baseball's at a great point right now where they have maybe in my lifetime, this is maybe only the second time they've had this many big time superstar,
right.
you used to be able to count the guys, even in Griffey's era, you could count those guys that were like him on one hand. Now there's so many great players. The game is more wide open than it's ever really been. The rules are changing this year. Yeah. So, the baseball's starting to slowly listen. I know that you guys as players would like them to listen a little bit more,
correct.
But this is a great time for the league.
Sure,
I mean, it's an awesome time for the league.
No, you're absolutely right. Compared to other sports, right? Let's just put the UFC. What the fan for me, for a White Sox player, right? What the fan doesn't know about us, all they know about is us playing the game, correct? When I was in LA, they did a great job. They had backstage Dodgers, which would follow you around with a camera once in a while and get to know you. You watch a UFC fight from the undercard to the main event. I will watch a fight. I didn't know who that guy was, but fighting, boxing, they all tell the story of that fighter, correct? So what I've talked about, like, in the book that I have coming out, what I've talked with Rob Manfred, what I've talked about with owners of teams is, like, how do we promote the game of baseball in this XYZ manner? And it's like we're in this, like, era of, like, instant gratification, right? So, like, if somebody hits a dinger, or let's just say for that, Manny Machado last year, like, rolled his ankle.
Yeah.
And as a player, I play against him, and as a player, you try to search up Manny Machado rolled ankle, and one of the guys in my book puts it away, Master Om, and you can't find it. You can't find it. I don't know how Manny Machado got hurt. I know he came out of the game, but I want to find it. So then I have to go through the archive of the whole game and find it myself. Like, there needs to be better access to, like, and that's because of blackouts. Like, you can't go back into that game. So baseball's just behind in a lot of these ways to advertise players, how to show the game. But, you've seen this last year. We did Apple TV, we did YouTube. So now we're selling out to the big guys, which is, as a player, I want that. Kind of get rid of, they're not going to like it. Kind of get rid of the regional cable networks. Like for LA, Spectrum, 15-year deal, $1 gazillion. But then they black out the game for everyone there. So the way to grow the game is to kind of start weeding these guys out, kind of start weeding the older owners out when they sell teams, get more eccentric guys like a Ballmer. He sits front row at a Clipper game. Get another good owner like a Cuban. Steve Cohen's doing a great job already, but we need more of the Steve Cohens, the Ballmers. Some of these young tech billionaires that have like 10 Bs behind their name that are like 34. Like, we need those kind of guys to start going in. Live golf. I mean, we should have a live baseball. Like, those guys should come and buy baseball teams because the way that they're marketing and promoting the game is huge, and which is great because, I wrote a book, A Damn Near Perfect Game. There's a whole chapter dedicated to Rob Manfred, and with my history with Rob and MLB hasn't been great, right?
Yeah.
I got in a fight and actually, hit a guy in the back of the head and supposedly in a defenseless position is what MLB said. I got 6-game suspension. And then I got an 8-game suspension for making a pouty face, right, and walking a batter and during the pandemic, and that's a 60-game season. And so we've had our animosity. I went with a lawyer, fought him for 3 hours on this case, fought him for another 3 hours on this case, and I go through it in that. But we weren't seeing eye to eye at all. And so we met together in spring training, and I kind of liked where our conversation was going. So I said, you know what, I'm writing a book. I was like, would you be a part of it and let people see what you're like? Because I think we could work something out.
I can tell you as a fan, watching every night, I have no idea what he's really like.
Exactly.
I can tell you what Roger Goodell's like.
Yeah.
Gary Bettman, David Stern especially.
That's what I told him.
I have no idea what he's really like.
And so he agrees, and I go, great. And I said, listen, whatever you say to me, I'm not going to have the person cleaning up, the person who cleans up or Rob or helping me out with writing the book, they're not going to touch it. It's going to be verbatim what you say. So there's a whole chapter in that with me and him sit down. And me going into it, I'm not going to say hate because, like, that means you want to kill him. Like, I really disliked him, right, for all the BS that we've been through. But coming out of the conversation, which was probably 45 minutes, turning to a chapter, I hate to say it, but I did have a little bit of change of heart. Like, now I see eye to eye. I see how hard it is to do that job. The rule changes. Fans might be like, oh, he's changing the game, da-da-da. And I felt the same way. I was like, you can't just do a rule change without talking to the players. And he's like, Joe, listen, I could have just put these rules in. Like, I have that power. And so that made me appreciate it more. Like, where he's not saying rule change, he kind of, like, put some feelers out there. So 2 years ago, hey, we're going to start doing pitch clock, like, kind of warning us, asking us. So he went through all the teams, like, would you be okay with the rule change? Yes. So he went to players and asked. So that opened up my eyes to him. And, like I said, once the fans read that chapter, you, me, like, for me to say I had a change of heart is big. So when the fans are able to read it, I think they're going to understand him as a whole.
I do think we need to see the humanity of it. And, like, during the stoppage when you guys were fighting all that stuff and trying to figure out the season.
It was so bad.
It was real. Like, he came across like he did not care. Like,
exactly.
And, like, people can say what they want about Bud. Like, Bud would have never let you think that he didn't want the season to be played.
Never.
It came across that Rob was like, well, whatever. Like, we can do it. And I was like, that's the look I don't get. I get, like, what your job is to fight for the billionaires. That's your job. They pay you to do that. I get that. But doesn't seem like you're really fighting for them that much either when you don't care if the season gets played.
True.
And that just didn't make any sense to me. Now, you mentioned getting suspended. You also, and the way that I know when you were in Boston, you got suspended, and then you spent some time sitting in the stands with the fans and having a good time, throwing back some beers and living it up.
Yeah.
That is something I remember when I first started in radio, we're Waco, small little Waco, Texas. John Cena was in town doing a WWE thing, and that guy's a huge star now.
Massive.
Back then, he was just starting. He just won the belt the first time, or whatever they do.
Yeah.
But the outreach that they had for their fans was unbelievable. I thought, man, if baseball, football, if they did stuff like this would be great.
Dude.
And you doing that,
Yes.
that's a grassroots thing. That's just, okay, this guy understands that we're out here.
Yep.
Plus, you love baseball, and it's, probably the first time in a long time you just got to sit back there and go, all right, let's roll. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much said exactly some things I say to people that ask me about the game, like how to grow, whatever. And so what people really want is their favorite athlete, their favorite movie star, number one, to not be a dick to them, like to be cool, but they want to see that they're normal, right? So like, for me, I wrote a book. I have 2 World Series rings. I've had a longer career than I have ever thought I would have. I've never been a closer. I've never been the ace. I've never made an all-star team. And when I look back at it, I became a fan base's favorite in my first place I played. I became a fan base's favorite in Boston. I mean, they painted damn murals of me in L.A. But if you would look at every other sport, like my equivalent to a late inning relief pitcher who's not the man of the team, you would think like, oh, I could walk down the street with Mookie Betts and people in L.A., people like, Joe Kelly, let me get a photo. You know what I mean? So how that happens and how that seems to blossom is from things like this, from me being honest with you, from me telling you the truth, from you, a media guy that I've never met, saying, hey, what happened in the game? I blew out my arm. I'm going to be out a year. Like, that's it. You know what I mean? I blew out my nerve. I don't even know if I'm going to play next year. Or the fans want to see that. You know what I mean? They want to know more. They want to – and it's not like – I don't have any social media, 0. And I became fan favorites in all these places. And it doesn't happen on accident. It just happened on me never changing, like never following what they said. Like, as a young guy, as a rookie, they tell you, hey, if you get hurt, tell them a basic answer. Don't give them too much about the team dynamic if you have some drama in there. Like, just kind of put them in a different direction. And I was like, what? That's stupid. Like, what are we doing? Like, I don't care about what they're going to say. Like, I could care less. So I think that's how, if we get more players, and I play with guys who are like that, but then they put on this and they won't do it. You know what I mean? But it's starting to go that way.
The social contract that media and players have kind of established over the years of you're going to give a stock answer. I've got to ask, like, look, good media, people who are good at their job have to ask. You have to ask questions, right?
That's how they make money.
That's what we're there for. We can't, sit there. But then there's a large enough section of the media that gets mad when you are honest. Like, how could you say that? And they're like, well, I just asked you an honest question, and you gave me an honest answer, and I'm mad about it? No. I can be shocked. I can be surprised. But, like, being upset at honesty is what we all want, right? And I think that's got to – that on our end of the media end of it has to stop, like, this kind of faux outrage, like, I can't believe he said that. Well, you asked him? Like, you asked him what he really felt about it. He told you what he really he feels. And now you're mad? Like, no. Like, you like, let's relax with this a little bit and then make it more conversational, because at that point then – we're going to grow. You're going to grow. It's all going to work out because it's cyclical. And so, I think that part of that's on us too, like to be better when it comes to that.
True.
And establish better relationships.
Sure.
But you are also, like, you've been an enforcer, and you, as a relief pitcher, you kind of sometimes have to be the guy who sends the message because you're coming out. Do you have like a set standard in your head of, like, this is the moment where I have to send that message? It's very famous with you and the Astros, because that, I mean, and I'll tell you, in my opinion, they, scandal aside, like what they did aside, like when you got caught and when you had to do it, the worst part. It made it worse. Instead of saying, like, look, we did it. It was working. There's other teams that do kind of similar things. So we kind of took it to a level. We're like, we got out over our skis.
And that's definitely where I was coming from.
We're like, my thing is, like, we're sorry. We will strive to do better, and we understand what we've done. And instead of it, the kind of attitude they put across, especially from the owners, like, no, you're the asshole. Like, you're for asking.
Like, you should say sorry to us.
Like, no.
Wait, didn't you do it? Yeah, no, I think any kind of person who has a little bit of knowledge would understand, like, you got caught, now just own up, and you didn't. You know what I mean? Everyone can see that. But yeah, to go back to the set standards thing, so I've never sought out to be an enforcer or a guy, like, I've been in numerous fights, like, this scar's from being in stab, this scar's from being in a fight. Like, I just grown up that way. Like, I don't go out and search for them, you know what I mean? I never started, you know, it's always something that I feel like I'm sticking up for. And I wrote that in my book. From my first fight being when I was, you know, 10 years old in Las Vegas. We were playing a big tournament, and there's this big old looking skinhead kid picking on a kid on my team. And the kid was crying, and then I was like, Billy, if he does that again, let me know. And I saw him chase down my friend Billy down the thing, and he came out and he pushed him again. And so my first fight ever is me sticking up for a teammate, and it kind of correlates throughout my whole career, right? You know, long story. So I'm not going out there. I'm not a bully. I'm not going to like fights. When I feel like, you know, the cause that happened is like reaps the reward of like almost like, hey, knock it off, knucklehead. You know, I don't give a shit guy. Like, I'm not gonna shy away. Like, I've been punched in the face. I've been beat up. Like, I've lost fights. I've won fights. Like, it doesn't matter. I don't give a shit. But like when something like that needs to be happen, like, so, you know, I go over the thing with Tyler Austin, and you know, people are like, oh, it wasn't dirty, and like, well, no, yeah, it was. So, you know, you slid into a base at second, correct? Number one, there's a rule change that went in because of Buster Posey, right?
Yeah.
So we got rid of the sliding past second base rule, correct?
Yeah.
So you're not breaking up double plays. So that rule was already in play. Number two, our second baseman at the time, Brock Holt, if you're a Major League Baseball player, so you know. So Brock Holt's getting the ball at second base and receiving it as a first baseman. So what does that tell you? He's not trying to turn a double play.
Yeah.
He's trying to just get the lead out, correct? And so when you're getting taken out and the runner could see that, they'd be like, oh, he's trying to break up a double play. No, he's not, because he's running and our guy's going like this with his back turned towards first base. He knows that he's only trying to get this out. He was just mad. And so he slides past the base. Number three, our guy's bleeding. And so, you know, that we see as players like, all right, we know the game. All right, here we go. So then something like that's happened. So it just kind of like have fallen into my lap multiple times. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So if you throw, like, obviously I'm crowding the plate, you're going to throw inside, back me up. Yeah,
I've never hit guys on purpose for that. I've never hit guys on purpose for, like, dominating me, like being a good hitter off me.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm missing, like, I honestly am wild. I do miss. I mean, I've never been a control guy. I'm not the biggest of guys at all. I could throw 100 and it moves this way. So, like, it's going to hit a lot of right-handed hitters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, I've never intentionally thrown at someone for being good or not just not liking them. You know what I mean? There's always been a cause.
Yeah.
It's not me just going out there being a bully.
So when you throw behind someone, is that like the warning shot of like?
Honestly, the behind ones aren't on.
Really?
The warning shots are more like up.
Yeah. Okay.
Like boom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the behind is just like.
Oops.
Who knows? Yeah. Oops. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I've seen. Sometimes I've wondered about that. One of those games I was at. I don't think it was you, but somebody threw behind someone, and it had been tense, and I was like, I don't think that was really.
You also had another pitcher,
like
right?
situational.
So if the pitcher is good and doesn't walk guys, then that's probably on purpose.
Yeah.
But for me, like, I've always had a high walk number. I've always had a high hit batter number. So sometimes you just don't know, and that's the benefit for me, because the hitter's not comfortable at all being in there already, and they know, like, all right, well, maybe it might get away from him, but he's not doing it on purpose. Like, even my teammates I face in live BP, they're not too excited. Like, I'm not going to hit my teammate.
Yeah.
But they're like, no, send the minor league guys up there. Like, I don't want to get hit.
Yeah. Okay. Are baseball movies the best sports movies? I think of the depth of
the amount of them, yes, because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
But God, I love Hoosiers. I love I love Hoosiers. I love Rudy. I mean, but the amount of them, yes.
Yeah.
They also have the best actors play baseball movies.
Yeah. So what is the best baseball movie?
Sandlot.
Sandlot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. Sandlot's the best. Sandlot's my number one. My number two is Bull Durham.
Bull Durham, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bull Durham, I like Bull Durham because there's no Hollywoodization of minor league baseball. Like it was.
Yeah, it's pretty spot on.
It was, outside of maybe a couple things, it wasn't like, everybody in the
rituals,
team. Yeah.
Like there's always that like small town girl that multiple players have been with. Like it's pretty spot on. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not far off.
That one I like a lot. So now you with the White Sox this year, you guys look like you're about to turn a corner, I think, with the roster you're building. And I know that off seasons are tense because you know there's so much flow. But do you think this is a team that can is built, because you've been on teams that have made runs. You've got 2 World Series rings. You've been in deep playoff runs when you haven't won World Series rings. Is this team set up to do that?
I think this team talently is as good as our 2013 Cardinal team.
Okay, yeah.
Talent-wise, right? And so that is built to make a deep run and get to the World Series and possibly win. Last year we were the same. I just think what was crazy was obviously the lockout, right? So then you only get 2 weeks of spring training. And so all these guys are blowing out here, blowing out here, blowing out here, pitcher blowing out here. So injuries happen, correct? But the way we went about it wasn't right. Like, we didn't have that sense of urgency. Like, we almost used it as like an excuse as just a whole general team, right? So, like, hey, be careful, you know, like, don't rush back, you know. And so we had that mind thought of, like, there was no, like, sense of urgency, I feel like, as a unit. And so, you know, we went 500 and we were supposed to win the league easily, or the division, sorry, you know? And so talking with some guys, there's a lot of guys who were bitter and, you know, pissed, who didn't have the years they want. And, you know, coming back like, damn, we made fools out of ourselves. Like, we were by far picked by everyone. We didn't even get close to winning the division. You know, new manager, new staff, I think it's only going to help. You know, I think we're going to come out playing, you know, fast, quick. Yeah. And that's what, you know, I've talked to Pedro multiple times, our new manager. Sit down. He's been to Arizona. I come into the field. We talk. You know, what do we need? What do we do? And, you know, kind of the theme of our spring training is it's gonna be fast, hard. It's gonna be like college baseball. Like, we're gonna go. It might be short, but we're gonna play fast, play athletic. You know what I mean? Like, try to get going out of the gate. Like, just because it's game 1, we're not gonna, like, go into the season. If our starters could throw 7 innings, you're throwing 7 innings. I don't care. We're not gonna shy away from throwing 100 pitches. Like, boom, let's go.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we need.
Yeah. You know, it's weird if you look at the guys who, like, people who started out slow, you could tell, like, they needed the first 6 weeks of the year to – that was your spring training.
For me, so I had a career year. The only number that wasn't a career in all my numbers was my ERA, which that doesn't matter for relievers, right? So, like, my strikeout numbers were the best I've ever had in my career. My slugging was the best. My ground ball rate was the best. My expected ERA was – in like the high 2s, and my ERA was a 7. You know what I mean? Like, so I had all these career numbers, whiff rates, weak contact, but the only thing that stands out is, you know, ERA, which is my worst. But, you know, I was one of those guys who started slow. Like, it wasn't even that because of the ramp up. Like, I blew out my arm I started game 3 of the 2022 or 2021 NLCS. Remember that? We used an opener.
Yeah.
And I walked off the mound. I thought I would never throw a baseball again. I was like, I'm done. Like, it's fine. Like, I had a great career. I'm done. So I was like the second person in the history of the game, like, that they know of, to blow out there's a nerve that goes underneath your bicep, right? And it goes all over here. So this is still, I don't have feeling. It's been over a year. So I ripped that nerve throwing a baseball. I was like, all right, I'm fine. I just never use it again. My muscle went away. It was just a bone. And so I rehabbed with the White Sox going into it, and I ended up starting the year halfway through. So, I mean, as a veteran, you should be able to start right away, but we didn't. So.
Yeah. Well, Joe, it's great to meet you. Max Muncy played at Baylor, good friend of ours as well, great guy. The book, A Damn Near Perfect Game, Joe Kelly and Rob Manfred was in the book, and with Rob Bradford. Pitching Ninja, love Pitching Ninja.
Rob has a great, you need to read it.
Pitching Ninja is one of the, oh my God, it's great. Great stuff there. So happy to meet you, man.
Yeah,
great to meet you. Thanks for spending so much time. Yeah. So, but yeah, go get the book right here. Damn Near Perfect Game. I'll read it cover to cover.
Awesome. Thank you, brother.
Thanks, Joe. Joe Kelly, 365 Sports.
The President's Day sales event is happening now at Allen Samuels in Waco. Shop the great selection of new cars, trucks, and SUVs and get amazing deals on new Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Chrysler sedans, and minivans, or a sporty Dodge. Get more for less, guaranteed, more value, more selection, more service, and more trade-in allowance. And of course, if we don't have exactly what you want in stock, we can help you build the custom car, truck, SUV, or van of your dreams and order it today. It's the President's Day sales event happening right now at Allen Samuels in Waco.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist's office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and, you know, I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, locally owned pizza place that's out of this world. Everything from the dough, the sauce, the sausage topping is made fresh in-house. Not to mention the amazing pizza pillows, the chicken wings are to die for. Try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries or tots, plus great specials on food and drink every single day. Shorty's is also the perfect spot to watch the game with your friends. Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby. Tell them Paul sent you by.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com.
The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments and financial advisor Chuck Verno, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak and Paul Catalina.
One of our favorite guests to have on Radio Row or anytime, Green Beret, Texas Longhorn, Seattle Seahawk. What else can I say about Nate Boyer?
You can say filmmaker now.
Filmmaker, Nate Boyer, that's right. And so you're here, Jacob Wilson here. Jacob, a veteran himself now, and so want to have him on there with you. Nate, what's it been like getting into the filmmaking business?
Oh, it's definitely challenging. I mean, I say this and I mean this. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done, directing a movie. Mm-hmm. Obviously, nobody's shooting at you. It's not war. I would never make that kind of comparison. But you're the commander. You know what I mean? You're the leader out there, and there's all these different departments with all this stuff going on, and every day something goes wrong. It's just like being on a training mission. Exactly. Not a combat mission. So it's like you got to flex. You got to be ready to adjust. Weather changes everything. People don't show up. Things don't happen. And it's just like total chaos. And I feel really comfortable in chaos. So I enjoyed it at the same time.
Our company made a documentary that they're trying to get out and sold right now about Scott Drew and the men's basketball team at Baylor, when they win the national title and that whole story. And, I knew that it was, hard to get a movie together. I knew it. Hard. And then when you actually see it in practice, how hard it really, really is to get everything going. I think from the outside, people think look, you get your cameras, you get your lights, you get all the stuff, you point it, you shoot, some guy edits it, and then later on it's done. But it is herding cats
dude,
in a way that I don't think most people could understand.
And it's crazy expensive.
Yeah.
And every minute is like precious. You know what I mean? And then beyond that, it's like, yeah, you're only seeing this little, you know, when you watch it at the end of the day, there's all this madness going on outside your little 5% window you're watching of the world around you. But, like, managing all that, keeping everybody on task, and making sure that then beyond that, the creative side of it, making sure the performances are there and your story actually makes sense. All these other things, it's like,
can you give us
daunting.
any details about what the movie's about, or is that
Yeah,
still in the
yeah.
wraps?
No, it's out. It's out.
Oh,
so
okay.
The movie's called MVP. It's based on a charity I co-founded with Jay Glazer that's called Merging Vets and Players. We call it MVP for short.
I actually got to meet Jay because I was in Marine Corps Base Hawaii, and he came out there with Bellator MMA a couple of years ago, and so it was a very cool
That's
experience.
cool. Bellator's been a big supporter of ours for a long time. But yeah, MVP is the name of the movie. It's available now on Amazon Prime, Apple TV, Showtime picked it up as well, so it's Paramount Plus. You can buy the DVD and Blu-ray. People still do that. Probably people in Waco do that. A lot of people in Waco, I would think. You know, it feels like a Waco thing. I love that. I love that you can have a tangible, piece of this thing. But the story's based on it's actually a Marine who was living in a homeless shelter in Hollywood, and he meets an NFL player first year out of the league. On paper, they got nothing in common, but they're going through the same transition struggles, losing that uniform, and kind of finding that next thing. And, it's really cool, Jacob, that you are here and you whether this ends up being something that's long run for you, it's at least like a good place to land that's got, challenges in what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And like it's competitive and you've got your team and you've got to like figure these, that stuff, we need that. It's like part of who we are moving forward. And that's really what the movie is all about, like highlighting that, because usually you're pretty young and that career ends, playing professional sports, going to combat, completely different things, but the locker room, the uniform, that identity, those are very similar, and that's what the movie's about.
And the physical toll is similar for players and for soldiers. So you're going through the same thing of, you became a soldier or a player because you were at, you had a certain physical peak.
Or a Marine. Soldiers or Army.
Yeah.
He's going to get crazy here.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, but yeah, you did that because you're at a certain thing, and then it either you can get out and everything can be fine, you're all right.
Yep.
Same with in the NFL, like, might have been lucky and have minor stuff, or you can have a life that's going to be difficult because of that.
And how successful you were on the field and or the battlefield as well doesn't necessarily translate to a smooth transition. Because, for example, Tony Gonzalez, who's in our movie, right? He plays himself. This guy's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, tight end of all time.
There's a pretty good one on the Chiefs right now as well.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, and he was also there. He was also a Chief. He didn't have Pat Mahomes though. But first ballot Hall of Famer, and he broadcasting career, good-looking dude. Whatever you want to do, you can do. You would think, but he just felt so lost. He missed the guys more than anything, and it really messed with him. And he kept it inside. He didn't share it until he came to MVP one day, and he started, kind of opened up and talked to these vets that can relate to him, which seems odd maybe, but it just kind of worked for him. And so in the movie, he tells that story again, and then people like Randy Couture's in the film, Michael Strahan and Howie Long have a cameo. And then all the vets portrayed on screen are played by actual veterans. So all these people are kind of telling their own story. So while it's not a documentary, we tried to make it as authentic as possible. Most of the crew are vets as well. It was just it was fun. It was cool to have everybody tell their own story together.
Yeah, being an Army Green Beret and a Texas Longhorn football player, you've kind of have these two different careers, and both of which you eventually transition out of. Which one of those would you say was a more difficult transition, military to civilian or football player to no longer playing football?
Honestly, football, because I had the football locker room after the military to go right into.
Yeah,
so
I did college before the military, so that's why I'm very curious.
Yeah, no, so I didn't realize until I got cut from the Seahawks that how much I needed that, you know what I mean, and how much I would miss that structure a bit, and like even though you complain about 6 a.m. workouts, we do them in the military, we do them in football, you're like, this is the worst. But you feel good after you do them, and you've got your guys, and you go to chow together, and you kind of just like, it gets you going every day. But when you wake up and you don't have that thing you have to do, after a while, it sounds nice for a bit, a little vacation, and then you're just like, what am I doing? What's the point of any of this? And you get in your head, and it's just, that's a dangerous place to be.
Yeah.
So we all got to have something. We all got to have a passionate pursuit that means something to us, where we're at least part of what we're doing. I think this is for everybody, not just vets and athletes, is of service to others, and one of the things that I love to do is storytell, like I know you guys love to do, because that's why you're doing what you're doing, and being a part of storytelling and helping pick people up when they're down and all that, and retell a narrative maybe in a different way and help others relate to that. That's all important to me, and so that's why this filmmaking stuff works for me, because it is my therapy in a lot of ways.
Yeah, the team in the military, that aspect of also, like, you're in this really close-knit group of, you are intensely in everybody's lives, because you are all, like, the team, you're kind of all you have, because you have to spend all this time together. So your family's your friends. This is how it is. And even particularly, it's probably a little bit easier in the NFL because you could stay in the same city. But a lot of times in the military, well, like, he was in Hawaii, and then he had to move, right? He either had to, stay, or he didn't have.
Players get traded.
Exactly.
Traded, and a lot of times too, and it's like, people always go back to, well, it's not the same. Those guys are all millionaires. First of all, they're not all millionaires. They do. It is it's a great life. Don't get me wrong. Playing pro sports, it's good money. You're playing a game, yes, but it's a grind. It could end at any moment. It's not on your terms typically, and like the average NFL career is 3 years, so they're 25, and maybe even if they did make some good money, they poured everything into that, and there was no backup plan, because they felt like, if I have a backup plan, I'm not going to be putting all my energy into plan A, and it's not going to work out for me. So they don't even don't ever think about the fact that I might get cut and then it just happens and it's over, and you're like, all right,
what do you do now?
I just have no idea. So a lot of people, and they're young people.
But and then you got to move. Like, you got to move back to where you're going to be. Or where you were before. Like,
or
you might
figuring
that out.
Like, where I want to go.
I can't. I think about we have Killeen, Fort Hood, right near us.
Yeah.
I think about guys who you're out at Killeen. Now, I'm not trying to knock Killeen, but most people aren't going to really want to stay there, right?
No,
It is a post. That's the post.
That's an Army-based problem.
That's it.
Typically Marine. Where the Marines are is a little more attractive at times, but
it depends entirely on where you are.
but so then you've got to but all your friends might still be here in Killeen or wherever, and then you're going to leave and you're going to move to Delaware or something, back home. And it's a tough transition. It's tough for anybody.
It feels awkward too when you're out. You probably can relate to this in some ways, and your buddies are still in. You're like, I'm not going to linger around, and they're busy. They got
you
stuff
don't want to be like
on.
McConaughey in Dazed and Confused, just like the guy I used to be one of you. But I just want to hang around and bask in what used to be.
So you guys going on a mission?
Yeah.
It's
cool.
not like you can go.
Anything you can share or no? All right, no worries.
Yeah, it's not that simple. Nate, you're a Longhorn in official news now as of last night. This is the last year in the Big 12 for Oklahoma and Texas.
I love it.
You do?
Oh yeah.
Really?
I'm sorry. I know this is a soft spot.
No. I'm very curious about this because there are I think there's some divided among at least Texas and OU
for sure.
Texas because you didn't play in the SEC, but now they are, and so there's a little bit of that
also,
nostalgia.
I grew up in California.
Yeah.
I'm not a Texan. I didn't really care about the Longhorns until I went to UT.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's different for me, too. I have this outsider perspective. But for me as a fan, I'm excited because, when your road games are in Death Valley now and, in Knoxville up at Neyland and, these kind of places, it's hard to not be excited about that. Going down to the swamp, that's going to be really cool. So that's part of it. And also shutting the SEC up. They think they're just, we're always the best. Every time we play the SEC, and this is a lot of Big 12 schools, not every time, oftentimes, people are shocked that we beat them or that we're hanging in there. I mean, we lost to Bama by 1 with a backup quarterback this year, and we should have beat them even with that. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, they played so well. It's like, yeah, but they're not all that. Relax.
I think
you can hang with anybody. The Big 12 is a lot lot more competitive than people give it credit for.
And I'm not trying. I got in a big after the national championship game. I got in Twitter. I made an opinion. People were saying that it wasn't worth it, but I was trying to clarify what I was saying. Look, the top of the SEC is better than the top of every other conference.
Yes.
But I
agree.
But teams that won a long time ago are getting credit for that now, when really we're talking about 2 or 3 teams, Alabama, Georgia, LSU, right now that have been that elite. And Texas won in 05, Florida won in 06 and 08. You can ask those schools how well that's doing for them right now. It's great that it happened, but again, you can't just dine out forever on what you did a long time ago. That was the debate. I do want to ask you though, are you excited about the A&M rivalry coming back?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They should have never stopped. We should have just kept playing them, just like, every year. South Carolina plays North Carolina.
Yeah.
Why? They're not in the same conference, but they play every year. Why would we stop? I don't understand why they stopped doing that. I know it's political, TV deals, and all kinds of crap.
But it was also that.
Come on.
Of all the conference leaving, that was a legit divorce. It was an ugly divorce. You would not.
Well, you should meet up with your ex and fight every year. That's good TV. Who doesn't want to watch that?
Exactly. Yeah, there's your next thing. You
Bravo
pitch that
puts stuff like that on all the time, Paul.
You pitch the next that's Nate
Boyer's.
Boyer's.
I got it coming out in July, Discovery Channel. I am hosting a new reality series.
Okay.
So it's nothing like that.
No.
It's like a competition series like Survivor. So it's not a.
So we have a big chunk of Discovery in Waco, with the Magnolia. So
that's right.
Yeah, that's Andrew Sendejo was on yesterday. He comes down to Waco all the time. I was like,
that's cool.
Can we hang?
Let's do some bizarre eating.
Yeah,
type.
I've watched his Instagram feed. It looks like he cooks some pretty dang good food.
Yeah.
I got a kitchen.
Exactly.
So, well, Nate, thank you so much for joining us. Always great to talk to you.
Good to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
And movie MVP, and then of course the show on Discovery coming out here soon.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Nate Boyer with us here on 365 Sports.
The President's Day sales event is happening now at Allen Samuels in Waco. Shop the great selection of new cars, trucks, and SUVs and get amazing deals on new Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Chrysler sedans, and minivans, or a sporty Dodge. Get more for less, guaranteed. More value, more selection, more service, and more trade-in allowance. And of course, if we don't have exactly what you want in stock, we can help you build the custom car, truck, SUV, or van of your dreams and order it today. It's the President's Day sales event happening right now at Allen Samuels in Waco.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, locally owned pizza place that's out of this world. Everything from the dough, the sauce, the sausage topping is made fresh in-house. Not to mention the amazing pizza pillows, the chicken wings are to die for. Try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries, or tots, plus great specials on food and drink every single day. Shorty's is also the perfect spot to watch the game with your friends. Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby. Tell them Paul sent you by.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com.
The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments and financial advisor Chuck Verno, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak and Paul Catalina.
Welcome back in 365 Sports. Paul Catalina, Jacob Wilson's been here all week. Got to talk to Nate Boyer earlier today. I know you're excited about that. He's a great guest every time we get to have him. And but we've got to at least dedicate one segment to the game, the Super Bowl game that we're here.
One thing that hasn't happened yet this week.
Yeah, we haven't really gotten too much into it. So this is one where, you know, it's been talked about. The Eagles have the best roster in the league. The Chiefs have the best player. And that's not like the Chiefs roster is just, you know, a bunch of, like, guys who limped through to the finish.
No, there's some actual names.
But there's actual names. But, you know, look, as far as it goes, position by position, the Eagles are better. Howie Roseman's done a better job. And so this game is kind of going to come down to, does that best roster in the league show out when it is time? And I'm, like, I know who, like, as a Cowboys fan, I know you're the same way. Mm-hmm. Rooting for the Eagles is not something I can even fathom.
No, it is not.
Like, you know, like I say this all the time. Like, if they played, like, Russia, you know, or ISIS or China or something, I'd be like, yeah, go Eagles. America, right? But that's not the case here. No. So it is hard. And I had to sit it is really tough in this job when you grow up a sports fan and you dislike a team. You know, like Donovan McNabb just walked by. You and I have shared.
Shady McCoy was here as well.
Yeah. I have no problem with them at all now. Like, no, there's nothing that bothers me about those two guys now. I mean, but other than the fact that they were Eagles, and when they were there, the Eagles were really, really good.
They terrorized the NFC East during that time.
And then I also, when the Eagles won their first Super Bowl a few years ago, I had to witness that with my own eyes. I had to sit there and not like when witnessed, you all witnessed it with your own eyes, but I had to be there in the room as it happened.
Yeah, you know what I did the week after that Super Bowl? I went and joined the Marine Corps and got hazed for the next 3 months. So that was not exactly a great introduction after watching the Eagles win their very first Super Bowl.
You know, I'll say this. It would be like, and in this analogy, I am in fact Batman, but it would be like Batman, like just having to sit there and watch the Joker like all his plans work out and just be like, all right, well, I guess I gotta go now.
I mean, it's very, very real possibility that the Eagles could very well, win this game because, like you said, they're top to bottom, just simply a better team, but they don't have the X factor that is Patrick Mahomes.
No, and look, Jalen Hurts, I think, is one of the better quarterbacks in the league, and
took a big step this year.
Took a big step, and he had a lot of doubters, and then he had a lot of people like me who kind of believed him. I almost believed him unconditionally. I just liked the way that he played. I mean, you put Nick Saban's attitude and football IQ into the body of an athlete that can squat 600 pounds.
And then he played for a year at Oklahoma with another quarterback whisperer, you know? He had plenty of good, preparatory coaches coming into the league. And, I mean, his first season, Carson Wentz was still there, and so it was still a little bit up in the air what their situation was. But then it became really clear really quickly who the Eagles should be having play quarterback for them. And last year was kind of, shaking off the rookie jitters or the sophomore slump jitters, and then he took that big step forward this year and really got the Eagles to a level that they haven't been to since they won that last Super Bowl.
And look, they, what the difference between the Eagles and the Cowboys, and we'll talk about the Chiefs in a second. The difference between the Eagles and the Cowboys are when they feel like they're about to do something special, they go for it. Where the Cowboys are so terrified of the cap, they don't in most situations. So where the Cowboys and, like, the 49ers and the Eagles, like the 49ers, obviously lost due in large part to their quarterback situation, but they were in the NFC Championship game, and the reason they were there with the Cowboys is because they made that big move that protected them in getting Christian McCaffrey, that protected their offense. When they had McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel, it didn't matter who the quarterback was. They were just winning, and they rolled through.
Not to mention Shanahan's offense is kind of designed brilliantly for quarterbacks in that you don't have to be the hero. You don't have to be Patrick Mahomes. You can rely on the weapons that you have around you, and that's why they were able to win so many years with Jimmy Garoppolo. 3 different quarterbacks this year, I guess 4 if you count the wily vet, Joe Johnson, who stepped in. But that can only last for so long when you find the Eagles as talented as they are in the NFC title game. And look, it's going to be a very, very interesting matchup because, like we've said, they have a more talented roster top to bottom. But I think the Chiefs have matchup issues that have plagued almost every team that they have come across this year, and the Eagles are not immune to that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Confident in their own assessment abilities.
Yeah.
That they didn't need to
They definitely underestimated.
They really got no value for this at all. The Eagles get value for what they want. That's why they're that good. The Chiefs, look, Andy Reid has built a coaching structure around Patrick Mahomes and their offense, but it all almost doesn't matter because they'll figure out how the ball to get a matchup issue like Kelsey and get the ball to him, and Mahomes just makes things happen. I mean, it really felt like
as he sets off into the sunset of retirement, Patrick Mahomes is now the guy, and the guy that I personally do not want to bet against, even though his roster is not exactly top to bottom as good as the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't want to bet against Patrick Mahomes because he just has the it factor, the thing that makes him great and pulls him ahead even when he's not supposed to.
Yeah. We'll make our picks at the very end of the segment, but I do want to get into the Hall of Fame class that was announced last night as well.
Yes,
I think it'd be
absolutely.
especially as we cover the Cowboys so much. It's good. It was a great night last night for the Cowboys. Look, Dak Prescott
Man of the year.
Was the man of the year, and believe me, well earned there. Dak does a lot of great things in the community and with outreach. And then DeMarcus Ware going to the Hall of Fame. Chuck Howley going to the Hall of Fame, and I think that's really great for Chuck Howley's family.
Well deserved and long overdue.
Yeah, Chuck Howley is struggling with Alzheimer's right now. I do think that and hopefully he's at least with us in body when he is inducted, and his son's going to make his speech and all that. But I was really happy about that. Like I said, long overdue for Chuck Howley. And then with DeMarcus Ware, I mean, I think it's kind of a no-brainer. Like, he was one of the best defensive ends of his era, and that to me is upsetting. In that the Cowboys, that's one of those guys in this order, 1 and 1A. Witten and DeMarcus Ware wasting that and not getting rings for those guys. There's a bunch of other ones like Marcus Spears and others that were there that I think would have been good parts of a Super Bowl team had they made it. And then to a lesser extent to me, Tony Romo, because they wasted an opportunity. Because again, worse quarterbacks than Romo and worse quarterbacks than Dak have won Super Bowls.
Yes, you're absolutely right. So. And it's further proven that DeMarcus Ware was able to go right to Denver and win a Super Bowl for himself.
Yeah. So super glad he got that. Rondé Barber's going in. A lot of defensive players going in. Joe Thomas, I think he's the only offensive player of the 5.
Absolute no-brainer. Speaking of wasted opportunities, I mean, possibly the best offensive lineman all the time. That he was on the field, didn't miss a snap until his last season in the league. Just unbelievable longevity for an offensive tackle. And if he hadn't been in Cleveland, you never know. A lot more people might know his name.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's great. Good Hall of Fame class. Darrelle Revis in the class. Rondé Barber in the class. Really good Hall of Fame class. All right, Jacob, make your pick.
I kind of hinted at it already, but I am going with the Kansas City Chiefs. I know that they are slight underdogs in this game, but I think that Travis Kelce, he presents a matchup. I don't think that the Philadelphia Eagles quite have the linebacker core to completely contain Travis Kelce, and that's something that you need to do if you're going to beat the Chiefs. And look, Isaiah Pacheco is another player that came along for the Kansas City Chiefs in the running game this year. 7th-round pick. These are guys that find, this is a team that finds guys who are diamonds in the rough in the draft. And look, they've got plenty of people that can burn them on the outside if they're healthy. And look, and if they can contain Miles Sanders, which I think they're perfectly capable of doing with Frank Clark and Chris Jones, I don't see why the Chiefs can't handle this game just fine.
Yeah, this is not obviously based on what I said earlier what I want to have happen, but I do think the Eagles are going to win. I think they're better. I think they're going to roll on through, and they're going to get their second Super Bowl in the decade. So.
Well, grease up the polls in Philly because it's win or lose. There's probably going to be something crazy that happens.
Absolutely. So everybody should be on high alert. By the way, my mom's going to be very disappointed that I didn't take a picture of Nate Burleson as he walked by. She's a big CBS this morning.
Yeah, he's a pretty sharp dresser, I got to say.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, CBS this morning. You gotta go big for that. When we come back, the top 5. This is 365 Sports.
Cars priced right both day and night. Average your car in Texas. Trucks built for you, red, white, and blue. Average your car in Texas. Cars that zoom with lots of room. Average your car in Texas. Count on us, a dealer to trust. Average your car in Waco, Texas.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of health care while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of health care has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Hi, this is Paul Catalina. I recently got engaged to the love of my life, but the most important thing that I had to do before I popped the question was get that perfect ring. And I know nothing about rings. So I went to the wedding ring store, Boozer's Jewelers on Valley Mills Drive. I knew I needed a custom design, and that's exactly what they do. 9 out of 10 of their engagement rings are designed in-house. The entire process took less than a month, and they were great every step of the way. Great options on financing, excellent selection, and talented designers. My fiance and I get nonstop compliments on the ring. I only deserve credit for doing the smartest thing I could, walking into Boozer's and letting them work their magic. Your one-of-a-kind fiance deserves a one-of-a-kind ring, and that's what you get at Boozer's. Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store on Valley Mills Drive.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financials, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:45. Or is it 5:55? Either way, it's the Top 5.
Welcome back, Super Bowl 57 Radio Row. We're wrapping it up here in Phoenix. Sad day as we
It's
been
a blur. First Radio Row for me.
Yeah, but I am thrilled to be here with you guys. But then I'll go back home and see Amanda. I haven't seen her in 2 weeks. That was Marshall Falk, by the way, that just walked through the shop, in case you were wondering.
Yeah, it's wild who just walks by and you're like, oh, that's Emmitt Smith right there.
If you maybe noticed, like I said before in the last segment, we had Nate Burleson walk behind us. So it is just strange. Yeah, there's Marshall Falk, Emmitt Smith's around again today. We've seen Brandon Marshall and
Myles Garrett will go.
Yeah, really?
George Kittle.
George Kittle. So our top 5 Super Bowl moments. Now this guys, today was weird. We had to cover like a lot of the Big 12 stuff early in the show, and I know that a lot of you on the chat room are probably like, talk more about it, but we've done all this Super Bowl stuff, and that's why we're here. So I hope that it has not derailed too much of what you guys came here for today. And I will say, in my opinion, expansion is probably going to happen. Before we get to the top 5, I think it's going to happen down the line. I think that there will be some overlapping interests when it comes to San Diego State, Boise State, SMU. I think SMU might be a little further down the Big 12's list because they could have maybe already.
Yeah, they could have had them if they wanted them.
They kind of had them if they wanted them, and like, I don't think that the Big 12 is necessarily worried about. Look. Like the whole thing, like, oh, if you're going to just invite the Pac-12 back into the state thing, that to me is like, well, the SEC is already there. I
think that's kind of something that gets overblown.
Yeah, well, like they're already recruiting, and like, again, the SEC is already there. Like this already happened.
Yeah,
it's already, the borders are open. It's not like, you don't want to know how to keep kids in Texas and win national titles. Just be good. Like, just be good.
Had plenty of opportunities.
Yeah, just be good. I've not heard the state of Florida. Welcome back, Super Bowl 57 Radio Row. We're wrapping it up here in Phoenix. Sad day as we
It's been a blur. First Radio Row for me.
Yeah, but I am thrilled to be here with you guys. But then I'll go back home and see Amanda. I haven't seen her in 2 weeks. That was Marshall Falk, by the way, that just walked through the shop, in case you were wondering.
Yeah, it's wild who just walks by and you're like, oh, that's Emmitt Smith right there.
If you maybe noticed, like I said before in the last segment, we had Nate Burleson walk behind us. So it is just strange. Yeah, there's Marshall Falk, Emmitt Smith's around again today. We've seen Brandon Marshall and
Myles Garrett will go.
Yeah, really?
George Kittle.
George Kittle. So our top 5 Super Bowl moments. Now this guys, today was weird. We had to cover like a lot of the Big 12 stuff early in the show, and I know that a lot of you on the chat room are probably like, talk more about it, but we've done all this Super Bowl stuff, and that's why we're here. So I hope that it has not derailed too much of what you guys came here for today. And I will say, in my opinion, expansion is probably going to happen. Before we get to the top 5, I think it's going to happen down the line. I think that there will be some overlapping interests when it comes to San Diego State, Boise State, SMU. I think SMU might be a little further down the Big 12's list because they could have maybe already.
Yeah, they could have had them if they wanted them.
They kind of had them if they wanted them, and like, I don't think that the Big 12 is necessarily worried about. Look. Like the whole thing, like, oh, if you're going to just invite the Pac-12 back into the state thing, that to me is like, well, the SEC is already there. I
think that's kind of something that gets overblown.
Yeah, well, like they're already recruiting, and like, again, the SEC is already there. Like this already happened.
Yeah,
it's already, the borders are open. It's not like, you don't want to know how to keep kids in Texas and win national titles. Just be good. Like, just be good.
Had plenty of opportunities.
Yeah, just be good. I've not heard the state of Florida make those excuses at all. California certainly has, and then, like, part of the reason is like those kids just don't go to those schools. They weren't going to those schools for a long time. But
because outside of USC, who from California has won a national championship in recent memory?
Yeah, no, exactly.
Nobody.
But yeah, so like you've got they weren't doing a good job of doing it, and like Texas, there's so much talent, and they're like, well, there's so much leaves, but you still have so much.
Yeah.
Like you don't really have that much of an excuse not to have gotten more than just the 05 one. In the not in just the modern era, but the recent modern era before we go back into the 70s and 60s. But anyway, this is you guys' first Super Bowl experience. This is my 12th Super Bowl, or 11th or 12th, and so we want to do a top 5 Super Bowl memories or things that happened. I'll give you number 5. It just happened about 20 minutes ago. Pac-Man Jones hawked a loogie in our trash can very rudely and randomly, but that's a thing that happened, and I had to.
So I've seen Pac-Man strolling around, and the other day he had this flamboyant outfit on. I was like, I couldn't make him out. I was like, is this a rapper or who the hell is this? And I asked Jacob. He's like, no, that's Pac-Man.
We had big sunglasses on, too. Yeah.
And it's hard to make out. But, yeah, he was over there, and he was getting something I think it was by the TikTok. And then he came over here, and I looked because somebody was in my peripheral, and it's all of a sudden, I was like, oh. There we go. That's Pac-Man.
Yeah. I was sitting right over there on my computer, and I looked up because it kind of looked like he was going to approach us to talk to us for a second. But then, no, he just leans over our table and into the trash can, hawks a big loogie. I looked in the trash can just to make sure it wasn't like a piece of gum or, just something that, a reasonable person just, get out there. But I just looked down. I was like, that's just spit, man.
Yeah. All right, so Garrett, what's your favorite? The number 4 will be Garrett's favorite moment here.
Oh, man.
Your favorite one that sticks out to you.
You know what? This is going to sound kind of self-reflective. Today's my birthday. So
happy birthday.
This has been the greatest thing that's happened in quite some time. So I've had a blast. Last night was a ton of fun going out and having wings and chilling and just seeing everybody. But no, this has been one of the greatest weeks of my life, and I think that's number 4 is that I had my freaking birthday at Super Bowl Radio Row.
There we go. Well, happy birthday, Garrett.
Well, happy damn birthday.
Yeah, absolutely. So, number 3, Jacob's favorite moment.
I mean, my favorite moment, it's hard to pick just one because just where I'm coming from, finishing up my military career, and then coming straight here to Super Bowl Radio Row, it's just been a culmination of, a very significant chapter in my life, one closing, one opening. But it's just been, seeing Emmitt Smith, seeing Darren Woodson, seeing all these guys who I grew up playing or grew up watching play, and just taking it all in and getting to see these players and meeting certain people, and I don't know, it's just been a culmination of a lot of different things for me.
Yeah. You know what is kind of strange, I'll tell you about this week. I just see the Phoenix Suns Gorillas right over there right now.
Oh, yeah.
And opening the door for people as they walk out. But the biggest trade in the last 10 years in the NBA just happened in this city.
Yes.
And it's not even close to the most important thing. It's a huge deal. And next week they'll be talking about it at length. It'll be, I'm sure local radio has been talking about it here, but as far as this room goes, it was, most people are like, oh, KD to the Suns. What about that? That's kind of how bizarre it is. Number 2 for me will be, I love Andrew Zimmern. I loved having that, having those, Andrew Zimmern, Joe Kelly, those
Joe Kelly, fantastic
really
interview.
Just really good, fun interviews. Joe Kelly was just so
that
good
was elite,
and so
man.
genuine and so you just hear learning about what it's really like, and him being I'm going to be candid. I can't if you ask me if my arm's hurt, I'm going to tell you.
He's just real. That's what you want from people.
Yeah, because there is a boatload of talent in Major League Baseball right now, and he made a really good point in that you don't really know them all that well beyond the cookie cutter answers that they give in interviews and what you see on the field. Getting the athletes' personalities out there in baseball, it's something that we haven't seen in quite a while. And, it was just great to get his insight on how to make the game of baseball more appealing because it is America's pastime after all.
Yeah, and just to get his perspective on the lockout that Rob Manfred situation where he had talked to Rob Manfred for the book and at least got some more perspective on it while not, changing his mind, so to speak, understanding where it comes from. But, I mean, he and I agreed that it seemed on the outside that Rob Manfred really didn't want the season to start. Like, he just, well, if it doesn't, it doesn't. And I'm like, that's doesn't seem like it was just that attitude. And he said that's what bothered the players. Is like, hey, we're trying to get this done, and you don't really seem to want anything to do with it. And that's not really what you want when you're in a negotiation. So, and my number one, Earl and Tony.
Oh, yeah. That was,
yes. We've had Earl a lot. He and Smokey are very, very good friends. But I've never interviewed Tony Dorsett, and I do know that he's had some health problems, so it was just great to see him here and get to talk to him. And, that was probably one of my dad's top 5 favorite Cowboys of all time. And if not, maybe Pace probably might be number 2. Like, it's Roger and Tony. Those are his dudes. So, so it was kind of surreal that we're sitting here talking to both of them at the same time. We don't normally get that. Like, usually the only thing I can compare it to is one time we got Eric Dickerson and Ronnie Lott together in New York, and they were doing that Snickers had come out with that 4 square, whatever it was, the peanut butter squares, and the lady came over and she goes, "Hey, do you guys want some Snickers?" Like, "Oh yeah," and she's like, "Would you like to have Ronnie Lott and Eric Dickerson?" And I was like, "Yeah, well, when can they come over?" She's like, "Well, they can really come talk to you right now," and we're like, "Yep, let's do it."
There are certain people that you drop everything for.
Yeah, we did. We actually had to record it standing up because Craig was on the air, and so we had to go record it standing up. He was talking to somebody else, and then I just got up and went over and started. We started talking to those guys. But yeah, it was just so great to talk to them, and they're old, and Earl's real beat up and all, but Earl's lost some weight, looks good, and Tony being here and being happy was really great to see. I thought it was awesome. Just kind of that's why we're here moment that we had yesterday. And if you've not seen that interview, go back and watch it. It's on the NFL channel.
And the fact that there's only 10 Heisman Trophy winners in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, that should put into immense perspective on how difficult a task it is to mark off both of those 2 milestones in a career.
Yeah, absolutely. So I might have to do this on the air right now, so I can do this for Mom. Can't
he
see
turned.
He turned. Dang it! It's trying to get a picture of Nate Burleson for my mom.
I am sure he'll circle back around.
Yeah, we'll get him.
Yeah, we'll get him. We'll get a picture. Maybe he'll stop and do one with me. I don't normally do that. You guys have seen we do it when we're here.
See, I need him. I need the gorilla.
Yeah.
As he walks by.
That's right. T-Buddy will love that one.
I know.
He'll love that one. Right there. Well, guys, thank you so much. It's been a great week. Thank you to David Smoak, who's on with us early in the show. Thank you to all of our guests that we've had. Thank you to Eric Horton and Tyler Candle Company.
Oh, yeah.
For hooking us up here. If you've probably heard us, if you followed us for years, talk about Tyler Candle Company and Eric and what a great company he is. A great guy he is anyway, too. But go find them. They're in your local boutiques. And
one thing I'll say is if you miss your anniversary to go to a comedy show and the next night you bring her home some Tyler Candle Company candles, she will forgive you on the spot.
There you go. See? And Jacob was worried he might have too many candles in his house, but he found out never enough. With Tyler Candle Company, you can never have too many. So
it'll get you out of the doghouse.
There you go. That's right. So there you go. Thanks to Eric Horton. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to all of you for watching. Thanks for sticking with us all through the day. I know that there's potential realignment news and all that, but we will get into all that on Monday for sure, and plus wrapping up the game. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Be safe. Be safe. Be safe. We'll see you on Monday.